Hello, everyone, and welcome to the benefits and ease of moving from CAD to BIM. My name is Juliana, and I work in marketing here at MicroCAD. And today's presenter is Andrea Gonzalez, our applications specialist. At today's webinar, we will go over the main differences between CAD and BIM, the steps needed to make the move, and at the end, we will also share some tips and tricks in order for you to make the best decision according to your needs. Throughout the webinar, you can ask a question at any given point on the left-hand corner. You can ask Andrea to revisit a step or ask any questions. This is your time and we want you to make the most of it. And in the upper left-hand corner, you will find links to our social media and website. Also, make sure to check our YouTube channel. We post all of our webinars there at the end, so you can share with colleagues or rewatch it on your own time. And without further ado, we'll pass it on to Andrea. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Juliana. Just give me a minute. Let me know, please, when you can see my screen.
Oh, we can see it now.
Okay. So, hi, everyone. My name is Andrea Gonzalez, and I am an AEC application specialist. On behalf of MicroCAD Training and Consulting, I would like to welcome you here today in our webinar, The Benefits and Ease of Moving from CAD to Revit. In 30 minutes, I will try to show you guys a quick overview of differences, benefits, frequent questions, and some tips about making the move from CAD to BIM and the use of Revit and AutoCAD. In here, I am showing you the 4 general topics we are going to go over in this small session. So let's start with the differences between Revit and AutoCAD. I am not going to tell you anything that you can't do today. Oh yes, there's only one thing, but let's talk about it later. In general, Revit helps you to do the same tasks you do in AutoCAD, but in an easiest, fastest, and more intelligent way. Even though both are powerful Autodesk design tools and are very effective at what do individually, there is an undeniable fact, which is AutoCAD and Revit differ quite a bit. So starting with the differences, it can be said that one of the things for remarking is the purpose. AutoCAD has been used and was created for general public need, while Revit was intended, thought, written, and released based on the needs of the AEC industry. Then I have listed the workflow and making changes. So AutoCAD allows you to get 2D and 3D representations and follows the traditional workflow that all construction documents are created independently. Floor plans, views, elevations, details, sections, 3D views, which means if you are asked to do a change in your plan view, you will need to repeat the same operation in every related draft you have. Due to this lack of connectivity between different functions, your work gets significantly slower and starts to lack in quality. Revit also delivers 2D and 3D drawings. So here's the question, why one or the other one? This is the crown jewel, I think. Elements in Revit are intelligent and multidirectional. What is the meaning of that? In BIM, all the information comes from a 3D model, and when you do a change, multiple views are automatically and simultaneously generated, showing the information and changes in real time across all associated views. The modifications that could take hours to achieve on AutoCAD would take just seconds on Revit. I'm a super graphical person, so I would like to show you this as an example. I'm going to run the same change in Revit in an AutoCAD. So let's click in here. So I have a timer in here. I have a floor plan in AutoCAD, and I will just do a small change in a pipe, an offset. Pipe that changes the routing and goes up and down. So I already did the change in the floor plan. I moved to the isometric plan. to reflect the change I did in the floor plan. So for having the change reflected in the isometric, it took 48 seconds approximately. I would like you to see this in Revit, exactly the same thing. And you will understand what means that Revit is multi-directional. So in here I have exactly the same thing, the floor plan, but I also have a section view, an enlarged plan, and an isometric. And I'm doing exactly the same change. The offset, I just went up, then I'm going down, as you can see in here. It is more visible in here, and it took 25 seconds. 25 seconds. So in 48 seconds with AutoCAD, it was possible to do a change in the floor plan and then on the isometric. When performing the same operation with Revit, it took 22 or 23 seconds. And I'm also including, for matching the 48 seconds, I'm also including to leave the drawing as it was at the beginning. So 4 operations versus 2 on the same time and in the 50% of the time. So with this example, I think the definition of multidirectional and intelligent were self-explanatory. Moving back to our list of differences, the next one are the design tools and analysis data. So Revit includes a library with families that meet parametric and intelligent features. In a nutshell, this means that elements not only appear as they do in real life, but they behave as they would in the real life with all their variables, connectors, sizes, colors, references, manufacturers, capacities. The information that parametric families contain allows users not only to have an exact idea of what is going to be seen at the time of the project execution, but also to generate a large amount of data analysis, dimensioning, counting, connection, diameters, flow, electrical information, and many more. That will be shown on schedules and will be updated automatically if there's any change. While AutoCAD uses blocks with attributes which are done with lines and circles as a representation of an element, not as an element. Let's see this in a video as well. So in here, I have let me pause this thing. I have a floor plan and I have set 2 different types of plumbing schedules according to my needs. So in this one, I have the name of the fixture, the quantity, the pipe size, and the fixture units for counting. This is for analysis data. And in here, I want to see the quantity and the connection diameters and comments. So I would like you to see that every element that is shown in the floor plan is listed in this schedule. And as I'm adding any other, it is updating everything for me. So for example, in here, I'm going to copy the lavatory, the water closet, and the floor drains. And you will be able to see that the quantities and the fixture units are updated. So 4, 5. Then I have 1 floor drain, and now I have 2, I have 3, and the fixture units were updated. The water closet as well, 2 and 3. Why this is possible? This is possible because of the parametric and intelligent families I just mentioned. As you will see here, every family has real data information in here, look. That uses for the purpose I need. In this case, I wanted to see diameter names and some analysis data as the fixture units counting is. which in AutoCAD is done by hand or with a third-party tool or routines. Then I have to mention the flexibility. It is important to note that given the accuracy of the families, Revit is much less flexible than AutoCAD. It doesn't offer the same freeform drawing and freedom because within AutoCAD, we are handling with lines. Lines and elements can fit in AutoCAD drawing, but that doesn't ensure that what you are intended to do or to show with the drawing will work in the construction. Another feature, and this is the only one I mentioned that Revit has that AutoCAD doesn't have, is the collaboration. Revit within BIM allows multiple users to work on the same file simultaneously, while periodically synchronizing all edits to a live central file. The project can be on the same server or even in a different country while users work in a single central model. In AutoCAD, shared views can be created for visualization and doing markups, but it still doesn't allow two people working on a file at the same time. The next one is the clash detection. So using the same premise of the teams that are not in the same physical location or even do not work in the same country, Revit has another additional point in terms of its ability to detect collisions. This can be done by inserting models from other disciplines and the possibility of coordinating in real time and allowing it to be exported to more specialized tools, such as Navisworks. Whereas in AutoCAD, it must be done manually and involves an ongoing back and forth between all trades. I will show you this in a small video as well. So in here, I have my discipline. In here, I have, you can see the video, yeah. In here, I have my discipline, just the plumbing. I am able to link in the real time the structural. So I can see the structural modeling here in 3D, all the heights, all the sizes of the beams. Then I just turn on the architectural model for me to use it. Then I turn it on the ducts, the mechanical model in here. Then the mechanical pipe just appeared in here. Then I can also link the electrical model in here. And then I just can turn on everything, all the disciplines, the architectural and the structural. This is a project I'm working with in this moment. So by doing this and by using this capability, you will reduce the amount of errors that has to be fixed on field. Then, moving on, it were to mention two things, the interface and the learning curve. And this is more a personal opinion because I have learned to, and I know how to use both. In my personal and professional experience, Revit has a much more friendly interface. Added to the fact you have all platforms in one, the architectural, the structural, the mechanical, the electrical, and plumbing is in just one platform. And it is overall easier to learn, especially for 3D. With Revit, you can provide the basic parameters and let the 3D magic happen. If you already have learned AutoCAD, moving to Revit will be a piece of cake, believe me. And the last but not least, the 3D visualization. So with AutoCAD, you can render views to get a realistic representation. This is a thing that for sure you can do, but it must be on selected views, and it has to be done one by hand. So given that AutoCAD separates rendering from your data, as a result, it costs more time and money to create high quality renders. In Revit, it's easier to create renderings and model walkthroughs, which AutoCAD doesn't allow. Every aspect of the model comes from the data sheets you implement. By one click, you can get whatever view of whatever location you want to see and even export them to a third-party application as Inkscape to get better and faster results. So I will show you this in here. This is the Revit visualization by default. And this works for me as an engineer because I just need to know where the things are located and what are the things. So This is a light, where is the ceiling, how high has the ceiling, where are the stairs, so that works perfect for me. But if you are showing this to a client or to a contractor, probably this will work better, and it is still good for me. But for sales purpose, this is, I mean, super wow. Everything comes through the eyes. And this is the walkthrough I was talking about. This is not possible with AutoCAD out of the box. And it's much easier and faster with Revit. Having said that, let's move to the advantages and benefits of using Revit. All of these reasons are related to each other. One is a consequence of the other. So having a model or with a model is too much easier to transmit your ideas. Everything comes through the eyes. As I just said, the 3D visualization along with rendering increases multi-party communication and understanding. You can communicate your vision much more effectively with a 3D model than with a 2D CAD drawing. There's a higher likelihood that the parties involved will see eye to eye when reviewing a 3D model. Construction crews can identify their goal and steps along the way. How many change orders have been caused as a result of non-interpreting the 2D CAD drawing properly? As clear as you transmit your ideas, you will reduce mistakes or misunderstanding, thus the material waste is reduced. By being multidirectional, as we saw in the video, the time you spend doing a task will be reduced at least 50% of the time, which means efficiency and productivity will improve. Likewise, the instantaneous update in all views reduces the number of human mistakes and keep your documentation consistent, which will result in a more reliable and trustworthy level of quality work reflected in the deliverables. Given that you can do collaboration, not all your people has to be on site, which leads to reduced risks. And believe me, this is not a thing I just can tell. This is a thing I have experienced. As a personal funny fact, I have to say, I have never been in a building I have been involved with. But by working on the model for entire months, I can close my eyes and see and remember every single corner and detail of the place. So BIM promises to build a structure virtually before physically constructing it, and this allows project participants to design, analyze, sequence, explore ideas, evaluate design options, and make well-informed design decisions in a project through a digital environment where it's far less expensive to make change than in the field or in constructions, where change are exponentially more costly. So time saved, fewer errors, less material waste translates into cost savings and therefore a relief on financial pressures, improve of the cash flows and generation of more profits. So what could be better? I mean, in business, this is what really makes the difference. So let's move to a pair of essential facts. BIM and CAD are technologies. Revit is a tool for BIM and AutoCAD is a tool for CAD. It is important to clarify for understanding. AutoCAD works like a drawing paper in which you can create a 2D design that represents real elements of your project. Meanwhile, Revit is focused on considering project as a whole and enclosing itself in reality. In AutoCAD, we draw, and in Revit, we model. The second one, users or clients who have not made the switch yet will be able to work with your throughout interoperability. Learning Revit doesn't mean that your knowledge of AutoCAD will be lost, nor will you lose connection with clients or business where BIM has not yet been implemented. AutoCAD and Revit are interoperable and can be used together. They are commonly used together to incorporate designs created in AutoCAD within a Revit project. Firms may use AutoCAD on certain projects or components of a design and use Revit to generate BIM deliverables and to enable collaboration with other design disciplines. You can have a Revit project and send deliverables by exporting the Revit file in a DWG, and it will have a good behavior by transferring standards. You also can receive an architectural background in AutoCAD and link it to the Revit model for your guidance. Likewise, in AutoCAD, Revit has many multi-party tools that allows you to get much better renderings as Enscape, write routines with Dynamo, work with PDFs as Bluebeam, and many others similar. The next fact, when moving to BIM, having a plan that upgrades all the equipment that will use the software is a must. So yeah, it's a fact that the minimum requirements for Revit are super different than the AutoCAD ones. Given the complexity of the software, it requires greater processing power to run in a correct and fast manner. So consider changing or updating your hardware in your budget. It's a very important part of the transition. Think of the investment as something that can be implemented over time, not necessarily something that has to be purchased all at once. In the early stages, it may be cost effective to simply upgrade computers, software, and servers as needed. And also think that all the things you are gaining with migrating your software will be lost if your computer is not good enough to handle it. And the last one, the effects of adopting BIM are not immediate, but at the end of the process, you will never go back. So you also have to invest patience, time, and training. The first model for sure will take longer than doing it in AutoCAD. But again, once you get it, you will never go back. Once you go over the learning curve, all are gains. Let's move to some tips for making the move. So the first step is hire a BIM CAD manager. This is super important. The BIM CAD manager is the person that ensures project control, the one who makes decisions about the BIM process, manages the model, informs the updates, and transforms the engineer, company, and client necessities and requests in a reality that makes all the team jobs easier. They will also find the proper workflow for achieving the project goal because not all the projects are the same. The BIM CAD manager brings the team together, and it is also the one who knows more about the ins and outs of the software. They support the team when it's needed. Even if you have been working with Revit for a long time, you will have many questions for sure. He or she encourages the team to learn even though they are always there to help. Having a specialized person to help you in the transition will help a lot. You can hire a BIM CAD manager or engage in a service partner or a consultant that goes along to you in the project journey, but giving support on your first project or only for answering questions when needed. BIM technology has a long way to go, so the process must be very organized and the role shall be defined and performed by the correct person. As you can read in here, you don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find it when you need it. Revit and BIM technology is bigger and more powerful than we think. And more than knowing how to use the software, there should be someone behind the scenes to support non-engineering tasks, such as internal settings and behavior of the platform. Let's move to the tip number 2. Train your team. This is super important. As you can see here, the first step for the training is the coaching. Why? Because changing from a process you are comfortable with to a new one is a big adjustment. The idea of giving up being a high-level expertise in one thing to become a beginner in another doesn't sound too good, right? So take into account that not all the people learn the same. There are people who find more difficult to change than others. Have your team to realize their individual marketability and doesn't matter who they are working with. The knowledge is for them. And at the end of the day, um, they will keep the knowledge. Help them to overcoming barriers. If they learn AutoCAD, for sure they will be more than qualified to learn Revit. recognize the skill and capabilities of the users, and training to use the software as intended. As another personal fact, when I was learning Revit, the first course the entire team had was with architectural approach. And we were an MEP firm. That doesn't make sense. So take the time to select the correct approach for everyone within your team and don't train in too soon because they may forget what they learned. There is no need to show architectural to the plumber right away. That could come later when both have their expertise areas under control. And during the training process, identify the people who have acquired the skills faster than others. Support them and motivate them so that they can enhance the team skills, workflows, and upskill of other team members. Let's move to our tip number 3. Understand your project. First of all, begin gradually. You can dip straight into Revit and start a project without organizing your team first. Be sure your team is on the same page. There are many questions to be answered before starting. How big is your project? Do you have all the input information? Everyone is clear on what they are going to do? Are you covered with your team and knowledge? Set an internal timeline in order to catch any mistake before the client does. Think on a realistic and reasonable basis by choosing the correct projects and establishing specific, measurable, assignable, relevant, and time-based tasks. And by selecting the correct project for starting and moving with baby steps, you will have a better transition and a better conceptual understanding of the people is learning, which will scale your project upwards. Once the training is done along with a pilot project, don't expect too much. This journey is full of experiences with of emotions like amazing, this is being done so faster now. I have to confess I have been this one. I'm this kind of person. But you also will find people that say things like I just hate doing this new way. The previous one was better. So recognize that involves a learning curve and the transition can take up time. And the last but not least, it is important to constantly review how things are going and record the project success. Keep tracking of your process and issues you may have come across and what has worked successfully. The things that didn't go well or took more time than expected, for those things, establish a plan for improvement and include the good ones in your permanent workflow. Let's move to the tip number 4. Mm, Make your Revit work for you. And this is kind of the same thing than in AutoCAD. This mainly means one thing, templates. As AutoCAD, Revit comes with some basic templates for each discipline by default. It is a must to customize one according to your company standards and necessities. Identify the things that are always necessary on your workflow. With this, you can define all your company standards. What will be your starting point for new models? So this is used to define custom features to enforce Office standards. By establishing a project template and standards for your projects, you can ensure that everyone is on the same page throughout the project. You can reduce confusions and make everything looks uniform, annotation symbols, tags, title box, graphics, etc. Doesn't mean that you have to add a millions of things in your template. You have to also be smart to select the things you really need and be sure the users are using it in a suitable way. And the last tip, this might seem very basic, but open your mind. Attitude is everything. Making the move to BIM is the right decision, just like AutoCAD was many years ago. You must go with the flow and industry needs. I'm almost sure that you have sent letters instead emails, or you have rented movies in Blockbuster instead downloading them in your computer, and so on. So there is no reason why don't consider to make this move. The way we do our job in the AEC industry has not been the exception of those world changes, and this industry has found necessary to adjust its methodologies to meet the global productivity demands and adapt to the new standard of remote work. So the idea is to stay relevant and competitive because sooner or later the request for proposals will begin to demand Revit and BIM as a minimum prerequisite for many of the jobs your company wishes to pursue. Having said that, I I could spend a whole year describing my experience with Revit and all the advantages and facilities which it comes. I learned AutoCAD at least 13 years ago, and I have been in your place. I had doubts, I felt insecure, but for the time being, all has been gains. So the main purpose was open your mind with a small overview of the things Revit is capable to do, and think that the more you know, the better benefit you will give. Doesn't matter which it is. And for me, talking about Revit, this simply means time, saving time. Less time means better production, means saving money, which at the end of the day is the purpose of any business. So I would like to thank you so much for joining us. If you want to get more information regarding training courses, licenses, advisory support for making this move, please contact Juliana Mejia, who is our marketing and sales person. In this moment, I'm showing her contact information here. And we have some time for questions. If you have any, you can submit them in the chat. And if you have any other questions that come up after the fact, you can contact one of our local reps.
Thank you, Andrea, for that wonderful presentation. And yeah, as she mentioned, you can make a question on the left-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead with the first question, and it is, are AutoCAD and Revit directly competing for software?
No. As I mentioned, they are interoperable. Since AutoCAD and Revit are both from Autodesk, they are not directly competing for products. Um, Autodesk likes to refer to them as complementary to each other since they cover a lot of the same ground but enhance each other usefulness.
Got it. Second question. Do AutoCAD and Revit have free trials I can use to test each one?
Um, AutoCAD and Revit both have Autodesk option for a 30-day free trial. So we recommend taking advantage of this so you can test features out of yourself in your specific design situations and make a decision which one is for you or which one you can use for the thing you are thinking.
Okay, and another question from Brian is, what is the software cost comparison?
Oh my gosh. Uli, I'm not a salesperson, but they are
Um,
super near. I mean, you know the value?
I think Revit, let me have a look because I'm actually in marketing.
But I
Oh,
know that I mean, with the money you pay AutoCAD, you just have to add just a bit more, and you will get not only Revit, you will get the AEC collection, and AEC collection includes AutoCAD, Revit,
Revit and
Inventor. But yeah, the difference in buying just AutoCAD and the AEC collection, which come with Revit.
well,
Um,
I have the prices here to just to make like a quick comparison. They're loading at the moment, but right now, let me check. Right now, AutoCAD, the annual subscription is $1,865, and Revit is 2,675. So it's not much that it's like $500, but it's not much for the actual benefits you get
yeah,
because in
and I have
Revit you
and
get
I have
actual model. So I think it is worth it.
understood you also can add just a bit of more money, and you can get the AEC collection complete, which includes AutoCAD, Revit, BIM 360.
Exactly. Okay. And also, as a reminder for everyone, if you want to learn these topics in detail, you can always take a custom training with Andrea or someone else on our team. We also offer group classes online. So, yeah, be sure to be checking the MicroCAD website for future webinars. And that concluded our webinar today. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. And as Andrea mentioned, you can contact me. Can you put the slide of my contact, please, Andre? One second. You can contact me if you have any doubts about the pricing, like Brian. So we can take it from there. And oh, I have one last question, Andre, from Douglas. What
What's the
is the
difference? Mhm.
what's the difference between Revit Light and Revit?
It would be the same thing as AutoCAD LT. It's the light version, so it will not allow you to work with all the features that Revit has. So we would like we need to see what is the intention of use that you have with your Revit to see if Revit Lite is enough for you. So it is just a light version, same as AutoCAD Lite or LT. You will not be able to use all the features of the program.
Thank you, Andre.
That's the difference. This is just a light version.
Yeah, it's like AutoCAD, I guess.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay. Okay, so I think that's it. If there are not any more questions, thank you everyone so much for attending. And as I mentioned, you can contact us at these numbers, this contact, and we will take it from there from any doubts you may have. Also, we will be sending tomorrow the on-demand recording for this webinar, so you can, I don't know, share it with a colleague or just rewatch it if you, in case you couldn't finish the whole thing. So yeah, thank you everyone, and
Thank
thank
you,
you, Andrea.
Juliana. Thank
That
you,
was
guys.
wonderful.
Have a
Bye bye.
wonderful day.